Nelson in for Jackie and Mr. Parkin all here as we have a big old smile because look who else is here.
Yay.
It is Dr. Stephanie Moan from the Plaza Dental Group, and we are going to be talking about dental care and things about dentistry. And how about some true or false questions that I guess you're going to ask us? See how we do.
I thought we should really make sure you're awake and you know.
Well, that's not going to happen. It's past 9 o'clock already, Dr. Stephanie.
I didn't know there was a quiz.
Okay.
There's a quiz. You didn't study?
No.
Okay.
I'm never studying again, for that matter.
Ever?
No. All right, so what kind of questions are we going to ask this morning?
The thing that really stinks is when your kids get smarter than you and you go, oh, I don't know the answer to that. Lots of things come up and people say, well, one of the big ones, because people are living longer and they think, well, at some point or another, I'll just lose my teeth, right? Mm-hmm. What do you think? That's
the question.
Yeah, that's my question. You guys,
is that a natural thing?
So here's what's really wonderful. I mean, yes, people used to sort of feel that way, that we're going to eventually lose our teeth, and for the most part, really, that's not necessarily a problem. I mean, people do occasionally lose teeth, but there's so many great ways to put them back, and so many great ways to kind of help out or whatever. So that's one of the myths that we kind of run into, is that people just have it in their mind that like people athletically, they think, oh well, eventually I won't be able to do this or whatever. But the triathlon this weekend, you saw people that were in their 70s and 80s and doing things that I can't do.
Well, those people are genetic freaks, but yeah, I get the point.
Right. When people think about old people,
I think at some point you give up, and you shouldn't do that.
When they think about old people, they take their dentures out. That was a running joke for a long time, but that's not the case anymore.
We have so many patients that are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s that just have amazing teeth.
Now, what kind of work can you get done? Because you and I talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
Nothing
if you're
really
in your
changes.
80s, for example.
Nothing really changes. I mean, the rules don't change. I mean,
you can get everything done.
Yeah. I mean, health-wise, if you have reasonable health, I mean, anything that you could do when you're younger, you can do. Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool.
Isn't that great? Yeah.
Wonderful.
So, no, and I mean, there's lots of other myths. People think that we have people that come in and they say, well, I lost a tooth for every child that I had.
Really? I never heard that one.
You haven't heard that one? Yeah. Oh, I've heard that one a few times. So that's certainly not true.
It's probably because your spouse punched you in the mouth. Yeah.
I mean, you can speak to this. I mean, everything does go a little bit.
You should go to Lou's house.
Yeah, I hope that's not true. Wow. Rough. But everything goes a little haywire when you're pregnant. A little, everything, maybe sometimes more than a little. And so I think people do think that those times in their life when they're kind of giving their calcium to their child, or they're giving, I mean, that's kind of what people think, and so they rob me of the calcium, or they rob me of this or that.
They rob me of my money.
Yeah,
I got on my teeth.
Yeah, I vaguely remember a different figure and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I mean, children ruin us for all sorts of things. But no, I'm just kidding.
We love them.
We do. But so that's a myth. I mean, that's definitely not true that's going to happen. Do you know what the hardest substance in the human body is?
Jason's skull.
I thought you said the enamel on the teeth.
Yeah, it is enamel. You are paying attention. Yeah. That's so good.
Once in a while.
So
this is the hardest.
The hardest thing in the human body is the enamel.
So how do you get cavities? If it's so hard, how do you get cavities in?
Tooth, sugar, and acid, or bacteria. The bacteria makes the acid. Mm-hmm. So those three things combine to kind of, slowly eat a hole through
away at it.
Mm-hmm. They've done studies on dental students, which they should, and
that's what they're for.
That's what they're for. and the studies show.
And for the time being, at University of Iowa too. Yeah.
They make them stop brushing their teeth. They make them stop brushing their teeth, and then they find out how long it takes to form a cavity. And literally, you can form a cavity in 2 weeks if you stop brushing the same spot.
Wow.
Which is why flossing is so important. Those spots in between the teeth that you don't really reach with the toothbrush or whatever. That's why it's so important. So 2 to 3 weeks, you could actually form a cavity by not brushing the same spot. So that's why it's so important to do. Please don't just trust that and try and do it every 2 weeks or whatever and make up for lost time. But yeah. So that's why it's so important that you brush a couple times a day and
really
brush the sugar off, because truly without sugar, if people have a really low sugar diet, they really just aren't prone to cavities at all. And it's because we have all the sports drinks and all the energy drinks and everything with sugar and that type of thing. That's why tooth decay is actually on the rise. Yeah.
Because of our sugar intake?
Yeah, because of our sugar intake. It's really sad too, because it affects our kids so much more. Do you know what the number one disease among children is?
Probably diabetes.
I'm actually glad it's not diabetes, but it's tooth decay.
Really?
It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so that's really sad. I mean, like, and because it's totally preventable, 100% preventable. With childhood diabetes, it's not preventable. It's something that just sort of like, they don't really know what causes it yet.
Type 1, right.
Type 1 diabetes,
right.
yeah, and juvenile diabetes. And so, yeah, with tooth decay, we know exactly how to prevent it. We know exactly what to do. It's really getting that toothbrush in there, and really brushing off that sugar so that it doesn't sit on the teeth and cause the cavities. So yeah, it's actually very much on the rise, and it's very.
And it saves you money down the road if you.
Oh my gosh, does it save you money? Yeah. I mean, it takes a long time to fix a tooth and to actually go in and take out a cavity and put a filling in it and that kind of thing. I mean, we do it faster and faster as we get more experience doing it. But gosh, I mean, it's a lot of time and a lot of materials and a lot of things to fix a tooth. So I mean, I know people think it's expensive, but it really is. It's not just something that you just can do in 5 minutes and be done.
Now, not everybody has a dental plan, unfortunately.
Right. No.
But dental cleanings are very important.
Oh gosh,
and
yeah.
This is something that I want to touch on with you while you're here, because even if you don't have a dental plan, you really need to have your teeth cleaned.
Yep, and a lot of offices, ours included, will have a plan for people that don't have insurance. So we have an in-office plan that we can help people to get those couple cleanings a year and that kind of thing. I think it is one of the things that's very easy to skip. I'm sure people skip their checkups and their physicals and all that kind of thing too. I think if you feel like you feel good and your teeth feel good and you don't think you have any problems and that type of thing, it really is something that we find so many things when they're small, and then they're so easy to fix when they're small. And if you go 2 or 3 years and you had a small problem 2 years ago, it's going to be a really big problem, and then it may lead to a root canal and a crown instead of a small filling, or
something
that we can sometimes even with kids, like a sealant, something that's really simple and inexpensive.
Now, how can dental cleanings help otherwise health-ways?
Yeah, okay, this is really great. It's really interesting. Dental cleanings, if you have regular dental cleanings, you have less risk for heart attack and stroke.
Why?
Because you're cleaning the bacteria out that goes into the system and can clog the arteries and cause strokes and
you had told us that they have found that some of the bacteria in your mouth also live in your arteries and in the walls of your arteries.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so cool what we can do research-wise and figure out really what's going on, because it helps us to be better at explaining to people why it's important. And I think the why is really important, because I think a lot of people, there's actually a really, I can't think of the percentage, but there's a high percentage of people that go to bed without brushing their teeth because they're tired. I get it. I mean, I understand. And a high percentage of people that go to bed without brushing their kids' teeth. And so that brushing before the nighttime, before whatever is on the teeth sits on the teeth all night long, that's the really important time. That's really, I mean, if you really don't.
If you only had to do it once a day,
the nighttime would be good, but you can't. I don't know how many people could really get up in the morning and not do that. I think that would be really, really difficult. And it's not a judgmental thing. It's very good for you. I mean, there's certain things that you do. I mean, you eat a couple times a day at least. You should definitely brush a couple times a day. It's good. So brush that bacteria off, and then you can't get the cavities, and you can't get the gum disease and that type of thing that causes
the gum disease, gingivitis.
Yeah, gingivitis leads to periodontitis, which is the itises.
You don't want the itises.
Are bad. No.
You don't want the itises.
No.
You don't.
All right. So if people have any questions about this, or they just want to come over and visit you, where can they go?
Yes, they can come over to Jordan Creek Parkway and see us, and our website is dmsmiles.com.
Yeah, great. That's still one of the best websites.